Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. This astrology report is for the week of July 9th, and we are in the thick of it. We have the summertime season coming on strong, and we have this week some planetary shifts into the signs of summer, and that's definitely the movement of planets from Cancer into Leo. We're going to be chatting about that today, and also many trines and sextiles this week. Trines and sextiles between planets, and this is helpful energy. This is smooth flowing energy. This is quicker moving energy for us to take action and see things coming through in life and in projects that we're dealing with and things that we're up to. And also a pretty intense planetary conjunction building between Mars and Uranus. And this is actually probably where I'm going to start and then end this report because it's already coloring everything. There is a conjunction on July 14th between the planets of Mars and Uranus. And these are some sort of hot ticket energies. Mars is the warrior. Mars takes action. Mars is our physical body. These are the movements, the actions that we take in life, also the things that we are driven. We feel that warrior spirit to protect, defend, receive, go after. This is like going and getting things. And then Uranus, the other planet involved in this hot ticket conjunction this week. Uranus is the planet of surprise. Uranus is the planet of change and of sudden action. This is the lightning strike. This is where something very sudden takes place. There is also an opportunity here for an awakening. There is an awakening energy to Uranus. And also, with Uranus, it's just a very quick, snappy, like that lightning striking. It just, boom, it comes out of nowhere. And Mars, being the warrior spirit, that go-getter type of energy, is going to take action also pretty quickly. So these two energies are basically coming together this week, and they are both pretty intense and causing this type of energy to just come in a little bit stronger. So we've got surprise. We've got awakenings this week. We've got physical action, but also these two planets can stimulate the nervous system. There is a sense of urgency here. There is a sense of irritability, like something needs to happen. Like we need to take action and something needs to snap. We need to have immediate change. We need to take action like a snake or like that lightning bolt. And this causes some abruptness. This is like kind of forceful sometimes. The nervous system coming in, though, creates this anxiety around it. So there could be this feeling of extra anxiety this week about anything. It's maybe even pointed at nothing because we don't really know. There's this idea that something is coming up, that something could happen, that something is going to quickly take place, and that can sometimes stimulate us to be a little anxious about that coming in. There is an anxiousness. There is also a potential for just accidents if you're moving quickly and trying to do a lot of things at one time. You could see just things not going into place. You think you've like pushed the broom up against the wall, but it still just like falls and crashes. And it's like that. It's like you have to have a little extra care this week to make sure that there is space available for this. This is at 26 degrees of Taurus. And so coloring the entire week. Now it's coming in, at least in my hometown where I live, during an extreme heat wave. And this type of energy can kind of throw people a little over the top, especially when the physical side of things are a little bit uncomfortable. So relax as much as you can into the places where you do find comfort, whether that's a physical place. Like, I know I don't have the greatest air conditioning in my personal life, so I just really felt the need today to go find somewhere that was going to be more comfortable for my body. I went to a public place where I knew there was going to be some really good air conditioning and just let myself diffuse a little bit. Definitely feeling some of that energy myself coming in this morning, like wanting to kind of say things really quickly or like make some things happen, or I'm making some point about something, but really it's just kind of like forceful, or it's not really creating a solid theme. It's just kind of letting out this anxiousness in words and in complaints or whatever. So that was like definitely a little moment I needed to take for myself during the heat and during the intensity of this Mars-Uranus conjunction. But just kind of backing up a little bit to the beginning of the week, and also maybe actually just going back to last week, there was a powerful event last week with the sun and the moon coming into this new moon in Cancer on July 5th. But right around that time, we had the sun making a conjunction with the star Sirius. And this is known as the spiritual sun. Sirius. It's one of the oldest, it's one of the brightest stars in the night sky. And so the ancients revered it, as even the Egyptians based all of their astrology and a lot of things around the planet of Sirius. I think maybe even their calendar was based on it. Every time Sirius would come back into a certain part of the sky. So this is the way ancient people would create their calendars. And so Sirius was much revered as the spiritual sun. And so when we have the sun moving through the Sirius portal, it's also known as a stargate. We can feel this type of upgrade. It's like a recharge, because the sun is that place that everything spawns from. And the sun recharges everything. Everything points towards the sun. Now that I finally have seen my garden growing a little bit bigger, boy, those sunflowers, those big leaves come out, and it starts to grow that flower head. And all day long, you can watch that thing. It starts facing the east. And if you don't look at it till sundown or just after the sun goes down, it's facing the exact opposite. It's facing west. And so everything reaches out for the sun. And so when we have multiple sun, stargates, things happening, this is a recharge. This is plugging back in to universal energy. And we can also receive really nice energetic upgrades from this. So moving into the week, knowing that we've been through a beautiful stargate. And then I mentioned there's a lot of sextiles and trines this week. So a sextile is when two planets or points are 60 degrees apart. That's basically like two zodiac signs. And this is a helpful energy. It's actually a smooth flowing energy. A sextile is like two friends walking down the street holding hands. That's what Eileen Locke would say. And that is definitely one of the first things that I learned about sextiles. And they're like the word sex is in there, and it creates chemistry. We get a certain chemistry from these planets when a sextile occurs. So Venus, the planet of love and money and trust and value and pleasurable things, she is making her own sextile with the planet of Uranus. Uranus, again, that planet of change and surprise and awakening, coming into a really beautiful event here with Venus, and giving her a boost, giving her an awakening, giving that feminine energy some zap, some lightning bolt that's going to be really helpful and be slick and move things forward and create a more pleasurable opportunity for Venus. And then we also have Mercury in a sextile with Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is in Gemini now, and Jupiter is creating lots of opportunities, just many, many opportunities for everyone. When Jupiter, the planet of Jupiter, moves through Gemini, it's like going to be gathering information, asking a lot of questions, sort of blowing up things within the sign of Gemini. And Gemini is a communicator. Gemini is the question. They have lots of questions. They ask a lot of questions and try and get a lot of information. And so opportunities are a thing that Jupiter brings. And so lots of information coming in, opportunities. But Gemini is sort of a more superficial energy. And not all of these opportunities are going to work out. Some of the opportunities, while Jupiter's in Gemini, are going to be flowing for our future, but some of them are going to be just to gather information and say, great. Now I've gathered that information and now I can take that and move forward. We don't have to accept every opportunity that comes along. In fact, that would be really unhealthy for us if we could never say no to anything. And so there is an idea that we need to say no to things. But with Jupiter and Gemini, we can just be kind of looking at this and looking at that. And it's we can kind of see how that would work in our life. And then but 180, we've got another idea and we can see how that can work in our life. Well, we don't have to take action on all of these ideas and all this information. We can just gather the knowledge and gather the data. So then as we move through the week, we have the sun coming into a trine with Saturn. And this is happening on July 10th. And on July 10th and July 11th is when things start to become a little unstable. There is an instability here as the sun is coming into a trine with Saturn. Now, this can be an instability that creates toughness, that creates a positive change in our life. Instability doesn't necessarily sound good, but sometimes we need to be sort of rocked off of our rocked off our kilter a little bit. And that can give us a new perspective and can create positive change. The instability coming through with the sun in a trine to Saturn. Saturn is the planet of responsibility. And so we don't really like being rocked when it comes to that. But the sun is our own ego. That's the definition of our identity. That's who we truly, truly are. So we're having this type of interaction here with our responsibilities, where we are taking responsibilities and how that's interplaying with our own identity, with our own ego, how things are working out. It's there is a reality check here for our ego, for the true self. Are we taking the responsibility that we need to in our life to ensure that that the goals that we would like to see come through are indeed going to do that? So there's a reality check here. There's a gravity. It's kind of Saturn kind of sucks you, pulls you down out of the clouds and really puts your feet on the ground. There's a gravity to that. And there's an authoritative aspect to that also. So as we move later into the week, there is this instability. There is this reality check. There's this feeling of gravity. And so then we move into July 11th, and it's actually late in the evening on Wednesday, Pacific West Coast times. That's the times and the dates that I kind of look at here are all here on the Pacific West Coast. So Venus making a trine over to Neptune right before Venus moves out of the sign of Cancer, where she's been building the home and the security and the safety nets. Cancer is all about making things feel nurtured. And then Venus is going to make this trine with Neptune. Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. Every personal planet, Mars, Venus, Mercury has a higher octave planet that matches with it, whether that's Pluto, Neptune, or Uranus. And so Venus and Neptune, when they come together, it's like these are the two feminine energies in the planetary archetypes of traditional astrology. So Venus is like all feeling safe and secure, and like she's created this space, and then she comes into this trine, this fast moving, fast thinking, pretty helpful aspect with Neptune. But Neptune has a way of making things feel a little unclear. It's very dreamy. It's like this ultimate state of altered consciousness. Neptune is never truly 100% clear about everything because Neptune leaves things up to our imagination, to our artistic expression, leaves things up to our own individual hopes, dreams, and desires. And Venus is going to be asking some pretty serious questions about what makes her feel good, what brings her safety and security. This is coming right at the tail end of her 30-day stay in Cancer. So she's been like, hey, I just got here. I'm feeling really secure. And then Neptune comes along and says, not totally sure. I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of blur things out a little bit and test that. And it's going to be quite a little test where we're kind of unsure of our own reality. It all feels so dreamy. Which part of my life am I living in a dream state? And which part of my life am I living in reality? Well, I don't know that technically matters that much. But what matters is that we find the purpose, we find the answer to that question for ourselves and use the intuition, the spiritual intuition that Neptune has available. And then Venus moves into the sign of Leo. She's joining Mercury there. Mercury been traveling through Leo, getting things hot. This is a fire sign. So we're starting to get a little steamy here. Mercury, talking about Leo themes. This is where we get a little more playful. We get a little more childlike. And we also focus on our passions. And so Venus, already a pretty passionate planet, going to be also joining Mercury there and focusing on her passions. She makes an opposition with Pluto right when she comes into Leo. So there is a toughness to the 10th and the 11th with Saturn aspects and with these Pluto aspects with Venus. It's all kind of in the morning. And then later in the day, we get the Libra moon. Libra moon starts to balance things out, and we start to really feel that conjunction with Mars and Uranus. So as we move into Leo season, I guess I just was inspired to bring in this Carlos Castaneda book. I just started reading Magical Passes. And as we move into Leo season, you want to find your childlike, the childlike part of yourself, because that helps us here. And so I found a part of this book today. I just started reading it, and I just thought this fit in so good. So I'm just going to read this real quick. Magical Passes by Carlos Castaneda, page 16. One of the most annoying feelings I had ever experienced was caused by the fact that Don Juan, although he could have been my grandfather, was infinitely younger than I. In comparison, I was stiff, opinionated, repetitious. I was senile. He, on the other hand, was fresh, inventive, agile, resourceful. In short, he possessed something which, although I was young, I did not. Youth. He delighted in telling me repeatedly that young age was not youth, and that young age was in no way a deterrent to senility. He pointed out that if I watched my fellow men carefully and dispassionately, I would be able to corroborate that by the time they reached 20 years of age, they were already senile, repeating themselves inanely. So be careful not to repeat yourselves too much out there. the teachings of Don Juan are something I've been into since I went to college down in Ashland when I turned 18. So I found these books, and different parts of my life, they start coming back through, and I'm going through another Carlos Castaneda phase. So who knows? Maybe this is a good little addition to the show, having little readings. It kind of felt good to do that. So, hey, apply courage this week to step up and redirect the impulsive feelings that we're going to have with this Mars-Uranus interplay. Apply extreme self-discipline and try to keep things cool so that you don't do anything that maybe you regret in the future. And thank you so much for making time for this today. And I hope that you have a good week, and I will talk to you again soon. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.